Hello, people. Thank you for joining in. So today's webinar is about, it's been organized to reduce backup and recovery TCO with BDR Suite version 5.0. Here, along with me, I have Nivas. So yes, we'll start on with the session. So Nivas.
Yeah, Pranav. So everyone, thanks for joining this session with me. So I am Nivas. I am working as a lead analyst for the product management team of Bamboo. So I'm the one who is going to organize, take care of this session. Yeah, so you all know Pranav is here. So Pranav is my colleague and he's a senior product analyst at Bamboo. So he's also to be a part of this panelist. He's one of the panelists for this webinar. Okay, and yeah, so this is the first webinar of 2022. So yeah, so I wish everyone a happy new year. So yeah, so after all this pandemic, so we are good, and yeah, I'm very happy for that. And let's start with this today's webinar. So before getting into the further, so I would like to give an overview about the company that is behind the brand BDR Suite. Okay, so this is the introduction about the company. So Bamboo Technologies is the company behind this brand BDR Suite. So we are a 15-year-old company and we are headquartered in US, and we set our footprint over 100 plus countries, and currently 60,000 plus businesses is using Bamboo's product. Yeah, so we are more into developing the backup and disaster recovery solution. 60,000 plus businesses are using Bamboo to protect their business critical data today, and approximately we have some 4,000 plus partners, channel partners across the globe, helps to expand Bamboo all over the world. Okay, so this is a small introduction about the company. And coming to the technology partnership, BDR Suite partners with various technology vendors across the globe. As you can see here, so we are the partner of VMware, Microsoft, NetApp, Amazon Web Services, Red Hat, and HP. Okay, and yeah, so these are few of our customers. So you can see I just picked some enterprise customers. Okay, but Bamboo BDR Suites is designed in such a way it caters the business requirement of any size of business, whether it is a small business with 10 to 15 computers to an enterprise having hundreds and thousands of computers. This solution is able to cater to the business requirement of any business. Yeah, so you can see NASA, Fujitsu, Kawasaki, Epic Games, Apogee are using Bamboo to protect their critical data. Okay, so this is the topic for the today's webinar. So reducing backup and recovery TCO with BDR Suite version 5.0. Yeah. So before getting further, I would like to give an ground rules for this webinar. Okay, in this webinar, all the attendees are in listen only mode. Okay, if a new attendee join, he will be automatically go to the mute state. Yeah, you are in the listen only mode. However, if you have any questions, so there is a question box in this Zoho meeting session, so you can just type in your question. So Pranav is there with me, so he will try to answer your questions as soon as possible. If not, don't worry, so we will send an email to you replying your questions. Okay, so we'll send an email to you. And yeah, so this session is being recorded. After this webinar gets over, so you can see the recorded copy of this webinar in the Bamboo's webinar section. You just go to the bamboo.com and just go to the resources. You can see the webinar button there. So when you click, you can go to the page where you can see all the previous recorded webinars. Okay, so this is the ground rules for today's webinar. So with this, we will directly jump into the agenda. So this is the agenda for today's webinar. So we are going to see, we are going to discuss various topics here, but the primary objective of this webinar is to give an idea about the data protection TCO and how to reduce it, and how Bamboo is helping businesses to reduce the data protection TCO. So yeah, we are going to cover what is data protection TCO and why this data protection TCO is so high, and what are the steps to reduce the data protection TCO, and how BDR Suite helps in reducing the data protection TCO. And yeah, I'm going to give a small introduction about the BDR Suite version 5.0. And yeah, at the end, I'm planning to show the BDR Suite version 5.0 in action. So this is the agenda for this webinar. with this, we directly jump into the webinar now. Yeah, now you can see, right? Every business, there are a lot of businesses happening around the world, and every business is using data, and the data is exponentially growing every day. So this exponential data growth has a major impact on the data protection infrastructure also. Okay, so this leads to the demand to protect the data more frequently. So if you are handling with a lot of data, so there you need a solution to protect them, and you need to protect them more frequently. And so yeah, and businesses nowadays they cannot afford downtime, so they want to recover the data much faster, and yeah, they also want to retain the data for the longer period of time. So this exponential data growth, the general business data growth, it's impacting the data protection infrastructure. Okay, so why this TCO is so high? There are, maybe if you take, there are a lot of moving parts in a data protection infrastructure. To reduce the TCO, IT planners need to look for a solution that will reduce the number of moving components within it, while at the same time the administrators, it also improve the administrators efficiency. So this is the first thing you have to consider. Yeah, so we'll see what is, so the first step in reducing the TCO is to understand what it is and why it's so costly today. So we'll first see that. First we'll see what is data protection TCO. So if you take any data center, to protect their data, so they have the storage hardware. If you are handling with a lot of data, you need to store the data if you want to take a backup of it, so you have to take a copy of the production data and you need to store it in the storage hardware. The first is you have to invest on the storage hardware, and second, you need to invest on the software. There are a lot of softwares available in the market, so you need to pick the right one to protect your data. And yeah, so that may a backup solution that takes backup of your data and store it in the storage hardware. So yeah, you need to spend a lot on procuring this software designed to protect your data automatically. Then you need to have a networking capabilities in your data center. Okay, so the data has to be transferred from the production to this backup infrastructure, data protection infrastructure, right? So you need to have a networking in place that helps you transfer the data between your data center. And you need to spend on the hardware and the software maintenance cost. Yeah, for example, let's take if you are storing this backup data in a magnetic hard drive, so the life of the magnetic drive will come to some 4 to 5 years. Every 5 years you have to replace this drive. So there is going to be a replacement of your hardwares. And yeah, not only, there are a lot of overheads this hardwares will put on you, and you have to take care of this. And again, software maintenance, you'll be first purchasing the software, and you have to pay the annual maintenance contract, and you have to upgrade, you have to pay for the upgrade cost. And if a software company is releasing new features, so you have to upgrade the software to get the new feature to stay ahead of the market. So you have to you'll be spending more on the hardware and the software maintenance cost. Then you need to pay for the subscriptions. Assume that you want to store a copy of backup data in a cloud storage medium. Then yeah, so you need to subscribe for the cloud spaces, and you also need to purchase the cloud computings as a part to store the backup data on the cloud infrastructure. And the next one is the operating cost. Okay, so you need to employ and administrate. Not all the software and hardware systems are like just plug and play. So it involves a lot of training before you get started to work with them. So you need to have an IT administrator, if not one, so you need to have 1 or 2 IT administrators. You have to train them, and yeah, so they have to take care of all the data protection activities in your data center. And yeah, other operating costs, like if you have any if there is a requirement to recover the data instantly, it is difficult for an general IT admin to go and recover the data whenever you need. So you need to have this data protection, this data recovery is not going to happen every day. Even though it's going to happen in a very rare manner, you need to have an expert person to handle it in a better way. Yeah, so this everything. Yeah, so I will just mention only the 6 major points that is increasing the TCO. But yeah, so you have to these are the things that is, if you consider TCO, these are the first thing that comes in anyone's mind. Okay, so these are the cost you are spending. This is the cost you're going to spend to establish a data protection infrastructure for your organization of your data center. Okay. So why this TCO is so high? So everyone is going to have this. Why this TCO is so high? It's getting so high every day. Okay, we are going to see. First is the use of multiple data protection software. If you take a data center, so this data center uses a physical computers, and they also have a virtual computers. They also have some cloud subscription and SaaS applications. So many data centers are using different software to protect the different IT infrastructure. For example, they use a separate software to back up their physical servers, and a separate software to back up their virtual computers, and a separate software to back up their cloud subscriptions. Yeah, so many data centers are using multiple softwares to back up to protect their data. Second, if you're using multiple software, you need to have a dedicated hardware for each and every software. Right. So if you install all the software in a single hardware, the efficiency is gone. So you cannot expect the 100% efficiency of the software. So if you want to get a 100% efficiency, you want to dedicate them on a separate hardware. And coming to hardware, if you are procuring an application, you need to run that application in an operating system. So if not so if it is not open source, so if you're going for a Windows operating system, you need to pay for the operating system cost. Okay, like if it is some applications may run on a desktop grade operating system, but to get then a better efficiency and better performance, almost all the industrial data protection applications recommend their application to run on a server grade operating system. It's costly, so you have to consider operating system cost. And again, hardware and maintenance cost. So the hardware, if the hardware is the life of this hardware is gone, or if it is crashed, or if it is corrupted, okay, so you have to maintain, you have to replace them, and you have to do a regular maintenance for the hardwares. And if you're using multiple softwares and multiple hardwares, you need a multiple administrator to maintain them. Okay, so if you have to employ multiple administrators, and you have to pay them every month for this. And like I said earlier, not all the software and hardware just like it comes like a plug and play. So there is going to be, so these softwares and hardwares are not designed for general IT person, but it's not general IT person, not for general IT person. So you need to undergo a lot of training, like a training, so 10 days training or 20 days training to learn what this software is doing and how you can efficiently make use of them. So you have to consider the training, and so you have to spend the time and the cost to get your employees trained on using this professional softwares. And so not only this, so you have multiple software in place, and how you are planning to make them work together. You need to again spend on the automation and integrations cost. So these are the overall the 7 key or the 7 major factors is increasing the data protection TCO in your organization, in any organization. So so you have to concentrate. The answer is there in this pain point itself. So we are now going to see how you can reduce the data protection cost. Okay, how to reduce the data protection cost in your infrastructure. So like So first we have to avoid using multiple software. So you have to choose a single solution that protects more of your environment. At least like a single a software that protects both physical and virtual IT infrastructure. Maybe you can have, instead of 5 to 6 software, you can just reduce it to 1 or 2, if possible, one. Then um, the solution should be hardware independent. So, okay, if you're purchasing some software, so these software run only on this dedicatedly designed hardware. So you should avoid purchasing such kind of software tools for this TCOs. I'm not completely saying to avoid, but if you are more into this, if you are more concerned about reducing this data protection total cost, so you have to consider. So you should be selecting a software that works independent of the hardware with less resource. Then the software and the data protection, the storage that you are going to use should coexist. Okay, yeah, like if you're procuring a hardware, so this you need to install the backup software in the same hardware, and this hardware should also connect with your storage destination. Okay, the storage and the software should coexist on the same hardware. Then move older data to the less expensive storage. For example, if there is a disaster or a data loss scenario happens, everyone wants to restore the recent version of the data. For example, if you're taking every day, you just want to restore the yesterday backup, right? You don't want to restore some 5 months older backup or 6 months older backup. So yeah, you have to keep this. So you have to keep the recent backup copies in a faster storage and move the older data to the less expensive storage. So it can be any old magnetic device. So yeah, like you just keep the last 1 week of data in an high speed SSDs, and keep the older data, like 1 month or 2 month of older data in a magnetic drives, and just keep the older data. Like for example, if you want to retain this backup data for 5 years or 10 years, just keep all the data in the tape medias. So these you have to prioritize which data should be on which storage medium. So yeah, try to move the older data to the very less expensive storages. And yeah, you should be selecting the software that automatically remove the older data to save storage space. Okay, there should be a mechanism that it automatically move the data to a less expensive storage and clean up the older data. Okay, so you need to work on the retention policy. So yeah, so you have to first define your retention policy. Okay, and you need to work on it. Then the software should not be more learning curve. It should not come with a more learning curve. So it should be like not a plug and play. At least it should be used by a general IT person. It should be like a very less learning curve. And yeah, so a user guide that helps anyone to get started with using that solution. Okay, so these are the points you have to consider if you want to reduce the data protection total cost of ownership in your data center. Okay, so yeah, we have discussed everything. Let's see how Wembu helps in reducing the data protection TCO. Okay, so yeah, how Wembu BDR Suite helps. Here you can see, right, BDR Suite is a single solution that offers backup and recovery for your entire IT infrastructure, be it a virtual or physical or cloud workloads or SaaS application. A single solution that offers data protection for your entire IT infrastructure. Second, Wembu is hardware independent. You can deploy Wembu, the BDR Suite software on any hardware, and you can use any kind of storage medium to store your backup data. So BDR Suite support different storage mediums. So you can use a local drive, you can use a NAS, SAN, and you can use an object storages. You can use the tape medias to store a copy of backup data for a long time available. Then it automatically send a copy of backup data to the less expensive storages like tape, which I said, for long time archival. And we have a flexible retention policy to automatically clean up the older data. Okay, you don't need to worry about this, how to clean or how to move the data to a different storage. So we have a mechanism to do it automatically. And yeah, this software comes with a very less learning curve. So we provide a plenty of on-screen instructions and the detailed documentations for anyone to get started with using the software. These are the main factors that how Bamboo BDR Suite help in reducing the backup and recovery TCO. Okay, so yeah, so this is what I'm trying to convey in this webinar. So let's see what is BDR Suite. So BDR Suite is a portfolio of a product designed to back up multiple IT infrastructure. So it is a web-based software. So it is a browser-based software. So from a single browser window, you can create a backup and maintain the backup for your entire IT infrastructure. So the BDR Suite has multiple products. Like and these products supports. So yeah, first one you can see it supports backup and replication for VMware. So it's an agentless backup. Without installing any agent inside your VM, you can take a backup and replicate your VMware virtual machines. Then it supports backup and replication for Hyper-V. Again, this is also an agentless method of backing up your Hyper-V VMs. And so you can back up your standalone server, you can back up your cluster server, and even if you have an VMs running on your SMB storages, you can back up them. Then we have a solution to back up your physical Windows machines. If you have Windows servers or workstations, so you can back up them at image level. And yeah, the one advantage of Bamboo's BDR Suite is you can take a backup and you can perform cross-platform migration or cross-platform recovery. So it simply means you can back up your VMware VM and migrate it to Hyper-V or Hyper-V to VMware. And even if you have any physical machine, you can migrate this physical machine to a virtual infrastructure without any additional cost. Okay, so these the migrations and this are built in with the application itself. And we have a solution to back up your AWS EC2 instances. So if you have EC2 instances running in any region, so we have a solution to back up them. Then we support backup for your Office 365. You can back up your mailbox, contacts, calendars, files and folders from OneDrive. You can back up your SharePoint online, Teams online. Even if you have a group mailbox, you can back up them. You can back up all these 365 data, Microsoft 365 data, and store them in the local storage mediums. Then we have a solution to back up your Google Workspace. You can back up your mailbox, contacts, calendars, and again the Google Drive files and folders. And we also have a solution to back up your file servers. So if you have a file servers running on a Windows server or Linux, or if you are using your NAS to store your files, then you can back up them. So it's a granularly, you can back up only the required files and folders. We have a solution to back up your endpoints. So if you have a Windows, Linux or Mac endpoint, so if you want to protect them, we have a solution in place. Then we also support backup for the applications, dedicated application. In case if you are still using Microsoft Exchange or SQL or SharePoint or Outlook or MySQL, and if you're looking for an option to back up only the application and application data, Bamboo is having a solution for that. So everything is under the BDR Suite. So this is a software. So you have to install this software in any hardware. Then you need to connect your storage repository. So yeah, install the software in your hardware, then connect a storage destination, take the backup. All the backup will be automatically processed and it will go and get stored in the hardware that you dedicated for this for the data protection. Okay. And yeah, not only the on-premise, Bamboo also offer secondary copies and offsite copies. So you can just take a secondary copy, and even if you want, you can send a copy of backup data to an offsite data center. So VMware is also having a solution for that. So this offset DR, so VMware is having this offset DR. If you have your own offset data center, you can set up this offset DR and you can send a copy of backup data to your offset DR servers. If something goes wrong with the on-premise copy, you don't need to worry. You have a copy in the offset data center, right? You can just log in into the offset data center and you will be able to restore the data at any time. Bamboo BDR Suite also offers cloud subscription. Maybe if you cannot afford to set up an offsite infrastructure, or you don't have an offsite infrastructure, then you can subscribe for the Bamboo Cloud. This means it's a hybrid deployment, where you have one copy of data in your on-premise storage medium, and you can replicate a copy of backup data to the cloud for your additional protection. If something goes wrong, you just log into cloud and you'll be able to restore your data from there. And apart from this, Wembo also offers secondary copy. Maybe if you have your own cloud subscription, you can also send a copy of backup data to your own cloud. So right now we support AWS S3 and S3 compatible storages, and yeah, in the upcoming versions of Wembo, so we are planning to support the other things. And coming to the key features of Wembo, first, the recovery point objective and the recovery time objective of BDR Suite is less than 15 minutes. It means every 15 minutes you will be able to back up your data, and if something goes wrong, you will be able to restore your data less than 15 minutes. And we have an efficient storage management mechanism. So BDR Suite is the only backup software in the market that comes with its own file system to efficiently manage the storage repositories. So we support storage pooling, and we also support scale out repositories. And you can use any medium, any storage destination to store your backup data, and you can also club them and use them as a single repository. Then we support a native tape backup support. You can send a copy of backup data to tape for long-term archival. We support offset and disaster recovery copies. So BDR Suite has an inbuilt compression, encryption, and we also have a very advanced reporting option and a 3-tier verification to verify the recoverability of your backup data. So we have the integrity check, boot check, mount check, and these mechanisms help you make sure the data is safe. Okay, so this is the key features of BDR Suite. Now I'm having a small demo setup with me, and we'll see this BDR Suite version 5.0 in action. Yeah, so getting started with Wembo is pretty simple and straightforward. So you just go to wembo.com, and here you can see, right, you can a download button. Just click on this download button. BDR Suite can be installed in a Windows operating system and also on a Linux operating system. If you are more concerned about the operating system cost, then yeah, we support Ubuntu. You can use your Ubuntu operating system to deploy the BDR server. So this is the primary component. So Wembo is currently running version 5.0. Soon we are going to release 5.1. So that is going to bring a lot of new features and functionalities. Yeah, so you can expect this version 5.1 to be released in 1 or 2 weeks. And yeah, so getting started with Wembo is pretty simple and straightforward. So you have to go to Wembo website, just download this free trial. So if it is a Windows, it downloads an exe. If it is a Linux, so you have to contact our support. Our support team will send you an SH file for the Linux deployment. Just download the exe, install it. So the installation will hardly take some 4 to 5 minutes. Once the installation completed, you are good to go to protect all your business critical data. So yeah, for this demo, I am using one of the Windows machine. So yeah, I have already installed the BDR Suite in one of the computer. Okay, so this is the computer where I've already installed BDR Suite. After installing the BDR Suite, so you will get a shortcut like this. So this is the primary backup server component. Okay. And this is a web-based console. Like I said, this is a web-based console. You can access this console from any machine just by entering the IP address followed by the port number. Okay, so I will show that to you. So yeah, so I have installed on a Windows machine. So this is my Linux desktop. So just enter the IP address, just open your browser, enter the IP address of the computer where you have installed the application, and followed with a port number. This 6060 is the default port number. However, you can customize them or change them during the installation. Okay, so just log in. So you can log in, and you can open this console from any computer in the same network and log in. Okay, so these are the default username and password. However, you can change this username and password during the installation, or else you can create a new account. You can create different login accounts with different privileges. Okay, so this is how the application will looks like initially after the installation. The first thing that you have to do after installing this application is to configure your storage destination. For this, just click on BDR infrastructure, click on backup repository, and click on block storage. So yeah, right now we support only block storage, but I said, right, we are going to release a version 5.1. So this 5.1 is going to support object storage, and it is just a days away. Just click on block storage, and you can use any storage medium to store your backup data. So if you have a NAS or SAN or any storage appliances, you can also use them. So just simply click on this create new backup repository button, and it lists out all the physical volumes that are connected to this computer. If you want to add a network drive, just click on add network drive as a storage volume, provide the network path, the details of that shared volume, and just click on save. It will add the shared volume to this page where you can select and create a repository out of it. Okay, so you can mix match the volume, so you can choose one physical volume and a network volume in the same repository. And these repositories are totally expandable. So right now you can see, right, I'm having two repositories. So right now these repositories have only one volume. If you want to expand them, yeah, just click on this edit button and you can add the new volume to this. So this is the storage repository. Once the repository is configured, you are good to go with the backup configuration. As you can see from the screen, so Bamboo supports backup. So this BDR Suite supports backup for VMware, Hyper-V, and Windows. We support backup for AWS, Microsoft 365, and Google Workspace, file server, endpoints, and application. From this screen, you can configure the backup for almost everything. And yeah, to configure the backup, first you have to add your data source. Yeah, if you want to backup your VMware or Hyper-V or Windows, first you need to just click on the data source. So here you can see various options, right? So you have to click on that particular option and you have to first add the data source. Like if you want to add your VMware, just click on add VMware vSphere and then click on ESX in vCenter. So you can add the data source. Just clicking on this add ESX button. So this is the same process. Like you have to first add the data source, be it AWS or Microsoft 365. So you have to first click on this data source and you have to add this organization. And yeah, so if it is a file server, so Bamboo provides an agent. So you have to install the agent and you can configure the backup from the agent. And yeah, backup configuration also pretty simple and straightforward. So everything is it's documented clearly. So if you want any help during this backup configuration, it's pretty simple. Just click on this question mark button and click on this user guide. Okay, so here you can see all the steps. It's detailedly documented, and here we have provided screenshot by screenshot representation. For example, if you want to configure a backup for your VMware virtual machine, just click on this backup and replication for VMware. From the start to restore, everything is detailed documented here. For example, if you want to configure a backup or if you want to add a data source, just click on add data source. So yeah, here you can see, right, just click on next. It will show you adding the job data. Just click on add VMware vSphere. Yeah, whether you want to add an ESX vCenter, just click on this button. It will show the step-by-step instructions to add your data source. And if you want to configure a backup, you can just click on the backup configuration. Just click on configure backup, and if you have all the steps detailedly documented. So this is how simple and straightforward. And yeah, you will see tons of on-screen instructions. For example, if you just hover the mouse button anywhere, so you will get the on-screen instruction to how to proceed and what this function, this features, or this button. And yeah, let's see how to configure a backup. So we are going to see the options now. I'm just going to demonstrate. Yeah, it's difficult for me to show everything. I'll just demonstrate how to configure a backup for your VMware machine now. It's pretty simple. First, you have to add your data source. In this, click on backup, click on configure backup, click on VMware. So you can create a backup job without template, or if you already have all the settings loaded to a template, you can use them. So for this, I'm just going to create a backup job without template. Just give a job name. Just select the repository where you want to store the backup data. Just give some small description. I'm just giving test for now. Then click on next. So first, in this first page, you have to specify the or select the virtual machines that you want to backup. So I have added two ESXIs in my data source. I can just expand them, and you can select the entire host, or you can just select the individual VMs. After selecting the host and VMs, just click on next. If you want to exclude any VMs from the host, you can exclude them by clicking on this action button. If you don't want to back up these VMs, just select. It will be added for exclusion. And if you want to exclude any disk from the VM, you can also exclude them by clicking on this action button. So you can specify the disk type, and you can exclude the disk from the backup. Then if you have any business critical applications running inside the VM, you can also set up the guest processing. So this guest processing check for the application ever processing, and it also help you truncate the transaction logs of Exchange and SQL. And if you have Oracle, so you can just perform the log archival, and you can also exclude the files. Right now we support excluding only the business Windows files, but in the upcoming version, so you can also exclude the files from your file system. Yeah. Then you can specify the VMware quizing. So if you want to take a quizing snapshot, yeah, by default it will enables a quizing snapshot. If you don't want a quizing snapshot, you can just disable them. Then you need to specify the frequency for the incremental, synthetic full backup, and additional full backups. Yeah, just specify just select this drop down and select how frequently you want to run the backups. You can run the backups manually, one time every few hours or minutes, daily, weekly, monthly. Even you can also change the backups. Then if you want to perform a synthetic full backup, just enable this toggle and specify how frequently you want to create a synthetic merge. And if you want to create a full backup, fresh full backups, you can also enable them and specify the schedule for the additional full backups. And you also find some settings for the backup window and for the validity of this backup job. You can select them. These are optional. Then just click on next. Yeah, so I'm selecting this game schedule for everything. Then click on next. So here in this page, you need to specify the retention policy. So BDR Suite is having two retention policies. The first one is the basic retention. You can specify the number of versions or number of days you want to retain the backup data. Even you can also go with the GFS method. So you can specify the longer period, like how many weekly copies, monthly copies, quarterly copies, yearly copies. You can specify it here. So this is the GFS. You can perform this GFS merge with the full backup and also with the incrementals. So after selecting the retention policy, just click on next. So if you want to encrypt your backup data, you just click on enable encryption and encrypt them. Yeah, you can just leave it to system generated, or you can add your own password to encrypt your data. Okay, I'm just leaving to system generated. So if you have a proxy server, so there is an additional component called backup proxies. So if you want, you can deploy this backup proxy in one or two different computers, and you can get the help of this proxy to distribute the load of the backup server. So this is primarily used by the larger IT infrastructure to distribute the load of the servers. Yeah, this is optional. After this, just click on next. Just review the configurations you have selected, and if you are okay with all the configurations you have selected, just go ahead and click on save. It creates a new backup job for you, and you can see all the backup jobs by clicking on this backup and list backup jobs. And so you can also create a replication. You can send a copy of backup data to tape for archival. And coming to recovery, Wembu supports multiple recovery option. So just click on this VMware VM itself. You can see a lot of recovery options here. Like you can perform the instant boot. So you can perform the full VM recovery. So instant boot is nothing but it creates it instantly restore the backup data from the backup repository itself. And you have this full VM recovery, so you can mount the data and recover the data from the mounted disk. You can perform a disk level recovery if you don't want to recover the entire VM. If you just want to recover a particular VM, a particular disk from the VM, you can do it. You can download the backup data into multiple virtual file formats for migration. You can also granularly recover the application items. For example, if you are running an Exchange or SQL or Active Directory or SharePoint, you can granularly recover these application items from the BDR Suite itself. Instead of restoring the entire computer, you can granularly recover these application objects. Then you have this file level recovery if something goes wrong. And if you just want to recover some individual files, you can recover them. And we have a detailed reporting for all your backups. So this is for the VMware backup. I'm just explaining about the VMware. You can configure the backup for your AWS. So you can just add your AWS data source and you can configure the backup for the AWS EC2 instances. If you have a Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, so you can just add your Microsoft 365 organization and you can configure the backups for your mailbox, contacts, calendars. Yeah. Everything you can configure the backup for everything. So just giving some just click on next. So here you can select the backup for entire organization, or you can configure the backup for selected objects. I'm just selecting the entire organization. I've already added an organization, Wembu. Yeah, so you can specify how frequently you want to backup them. So compression, retentions. So you have a retention policy for each and everything in separate. So you can just retention policy for every objects, a separate retention policy for calendar, separate retention policy for mailbox, SharePoints, everything you have in place here. Then yeah, that's just after selecting, just click on save. Coming to recovery, you can recover the entire mailbox or you can recover the individual application objects. Just for example, Microsoft 365, just click on restore. You can restore the mailbox or you can just recover the shared mailbox or SharePoint site associated with that user or the teams. I'm just selecting the restore entire mailbox. So you have to select the organization, then you have to select the recovery point, and you have to select the mailbox. I'm having 2 mailbox here. Just select. Then you can restore the entire mailbox, or you can just restore the individual mails. You can just go to the inbox, or you open the inbox, and you will be able to restore the individual mails. Selecting this user. Yeah, you can see all the mails, right? You can just open and view the individual mails, or you can select the mails for the restore. Then you can select the OneDrive items. Yeah, you can just restore to same user, or you can restore to a different user account, or you can download the backup data as a PSG. So there are multiple ways you will be able to restore the backed up Office 365 or Google Workspace items. Then you can, just closing it. Then you can back up your file servers, endpoints, and application. Yeah, to back up your file servers, endpoints, and application, Wembu provides agent. You can just download the agent and install the agent on your computer and configure the backup. All the backup data will come and get stored in this backup server. And yeah, during the transfer and also the rest, all your backup data is encrypted. So we are using AES-256-bit encryption algorithm to encrypt all your data. On above this, you can also provide your own password for this data encryption. Okay. So yeah, this is a basic overview of how BDR Suite works. This product comes with a 30 days of free trial. If you want to test this in your data center or in your in-house infrastructure, I highly recommend you to download this from our website and get started with the evaluation. During this evaluation, if you need any kind of assistance or help from us, you just please feel free to contact the number mentioned in the website, or else you can just drop a mail to wembu-support@wembu.com. Our support engineers are just a mail away. So yeah, so why wait? Just get started with testing the product. Okay, and yeah, we are happy to assist you at any point in time. And yeah, so if you go to the resources, you can find a lot of resources like the user guides, the product videos, data sheet presentations are available. And we also have an active community. So if you have any questions, so you can just come to a community forum and you can post your questions. And yeah, so we have the knowledge base. If you are facing any error, just search for the error ID in this knowledge base, and you can find the steps to resolve this item on your own. Yeah, so this software has a plenty of documentations and the user guide to help any users at any point in time. Yeah, and we also have a chat. So if you need any immediate assistance, so you can just contact your account manager, or you can contact our support, or just send a chat. Our team will get in touch with you. So this is about the BDR Suite. Yeah, so thank you everyone. So thanks for showing your interest, and thanks for joining this demo with me. So have a nice day.
Thanks for that brief introduction and detailing about the product, Nivas. It was a good webinar session, I believe. So people, if you have any doubts or if you have any questions, please drop your questions in the question and answer box for you, which you can see near your left side panel of the screen. And we are already getting some questions. We've been answering it, and if we are not able to answer it, we'll send you as an email. And if you want to contact us for any demos, please contact us from the website details that we have shared. And you can, regarding the pricing and detail, you can just contact us through wembusales@wembu.com. Thank you so much for attending the session, and this recorded copy will be available in another 48 hours on our website. Thank you so much.